We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of The Past. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of The Past, and I hope you all enjoy.
$60 years, 200 hours. Random sets of numbers that are not going to make sense to anyone listening to this podcast, but they will make sense once we get to the end of this podcast. Happy Tuesday. Whenever you all hear this, a week from today will be what many would consider one of the most chaotic days of the year. It happens every 4 years, and even worse, it always happens during a leap year. How they how they schedule this and how they plan this, I don't even have the strength of the wherewithal to explain it, but it comes every year. That is the election. Now, we're going to talk about both of these numbers, and I want to utilize today as an opportunity to remind you all of your ability to do anything. 16 years ago, aka give or take 2008, I started my WordPress page. And to some, that may not sound like a lot, but it's a lot if you think about it. I've had a knack and a passion for writing for a very long time, and made some newsletters. I've deleted some newsletters. I've renamed, well, not even newsletters, but blogs. I've gone through my fair share of writing avenues and lanes and whatnot. And I got to be real. I have probably had the most dynamic relationship with WordPress known to man. I think on my page now, there are 4 blogs that I have out there. There's the OG, which is um, back again in the house again. And for those who don't know, it's a song by Dilated Peoples that I was really attached to around the time when I made that blog. Held on to that blog through thick and thin. In the process, I've made other blogs. I made a private blog that 100% truth you will never see online. That is somewhat of a online journal that it might be time to start giving more TLC again. We'll see. Um, then there is one called September Challenge that I usually try to incentivize myself to use every every month of September, so September of every year rather, every September of every month. No, so September of each year, I start what's called a writing challenge, and I haven't been as loyal and consistent to it as I used to be, but I have I have valued it when I really got into that zone of writing. The last one is the one. And I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but before I do, I want people to think about something. And it's called, I don't know if my walk cast should just be called right cast, because literally every week done these, it's become a common theme to remind people and talk about writing. Because say what you want, writing isn't going anywhere. We think I shared this last week. We spend nearly, if not 50% of our day writing in some way, shape, or form, or getting information between reading emails, reading teams, you name it, we read it or we retain it. So to have kept a blog consistently, and when I say consistently, I'm not sitting here saying every week, but just about every month where possible is an achievement in itself. And I give huge props to myself for accomplishing that because not many people can really say they've kept a blog online that long because everyone doesn't come clean with themselves about stuff, but I can come clean. The things that everyone gets on the boat or gets on the trend about, I think I was on it before it became a trend. Podcasting, 8 years, blogging, 16 years. Um, Obviously designing, I'm a little late, but I learned ironically, I learned designing what in 2002, give or take. So that has always been there for the availability to learn. So you're looking at 20 plus years of the comfortability and the confidence in designing. So that's been there all along. It's just been a matter of trusting the trusting the app and trusting the mind to do what they're intended to do. Now, at no point have I ever looked at my WordPress page and say, "Oh, I want to close it. I don't want to do nothing with it." One of these walkcasts, I probably shared this, and I shared this because it's relevant to the here and now. I recently, and I was wondering why I made a Substack page. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But recently, actually, the beginning of this year, it may no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Not the beginning of this year. The end of last year. A friend of mine who had talked about this for a while was like, "Hey, we need to sit down. We need to meet up. We need to catch up. We got to talk about stuff. We need to check in." And I said, "Okay, I got no problem with that. No big fuss and frill on my end." So we did. The place we met is a little coffee shop, and I had been by the coffee shop for a while. I've been driving by for a while. Was indifferent on stopping only because of their schedule, and also because where it's located, I'm usually just not stopping there, breaking the bank, going to the big boys, and accountability is golden. So we'll leave it at that. However, this particular day that we went, they had a event going on that I didn't even know was going on until everybody started coming in. And I'm telling my friend, like, "Hey, I'm here. Like, I want to get packed up and come on in because it's about to fill up." And so by the time she got there was just literally enough space at my desk or at my seating area where she could sit because every seat in the facility was full. And that day, I did not know, nor did I expect that I would be starting a new newsletter. And I had been talking about this before. I've talked about this on the Wallcast before, where I was on a page called Get Review. Get Review was integrated via Twitter. It looked great on paper. It sounded good on paper. But then Twitter, I don't know if it was the Elon pull or if it was just it didn't work out. So they got rid of it. The app pretty much dissolved, or the program dissolved, Get Review. And I needed to find a new home for blogging and writing. Enter the WordPress page. And I created Brate News, brightnews.wordpress.com. And just about, if not every Sunday, it don't matter what I do or don't have going on, something is going on that page. Now, whether it's scheduled for 9 o'clock and actually uploads at 9, or if I've if I've written it on Sunday, it's gonna go out on Sunday. It might not be until noon. It might be that evening. It all depends. But it's gonna go. Something's going on that newsletter. And going back, probably has been one of my favorite writing resources because it's kept me it's kept me going with writing. Like today is Tuesday. Based on how my week is looking, I have two good topics that I can either one choose to write one of them on for Sunday, or two, write both of them, literally write both of them on in one uh write both of them as separate newsletters for the next 2 weeks and possibly be ahead, which I'm never really too often ahead with newsletters because sometimes I'm usually like in a sporadic space of, hey, it's Saturday evening or Saturday, aka Sunday Eve, and I want to get something that's fresh to discuss and or address. Now, be the first to admit The group that I met at the time, named Shut Up and Write, talked about them before. If you have the Meetup app, which I want to talk about apps in a minute, but if you have the Meetup app, they have a group there, and they do writing sessions honestly every week, every Saturday and or Sunday, if not both, obviously. But um, they'll have one place that they go to on Saturdays, and then Sunday is usually a different facility. Uh, and you genuinely meet others who are doing what you enjoy doing, aka writing. And at first, like I said, I did it, but I didn't think much of it in its entirety. But now that I've like done it for a while and been rocking with it for a while, I don't I don't have any regrets of being a part of this writing community. So the newsletter has been probably a sanity space by far. And I didn't realize how much I would love writing, but also how much others are really picking up my writing. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I've had Substack for a while. And when I first set up the account, I was using it, but I wasn't using it. And so over time, I found myself more attached and connected to Substack. Now, Substack may need to be an app that we change for something that I'm doing now, but I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to do this again, but we'll see how I feel after this. I won't say project, but after this effort. Uh, but Substack is probably going to only be accessible via my iPad and computer. And why I'm sharing this and why this is relevant is because my next topic, which is I decided to do a very bold lock challenge with my phone. And many people, like I say many people, but one of my friends, love her to death always. I shared with her that I was taking a break from different apps. And she was like, I'd have to throw the phone. And I was like, why would you throw the phone? Because you can't access these apps. But the lesser of it is I've removed a lot of social media access. So if you've heard me talk about it on the podcast, just my sit down regular podcast, um, I have found myself using the accessory app combination known as Brick. I've gotten other people to use it. They love it. I'm not just saying it as a sponsorship or an affiliate. I'm saying it because it's genuinely a resourceful tool to remove the things you don't need or the things you don't need to access. And for a lot of us, that is very hard and it is very challenging because as consumers of our devices, we get very attached to them of all that goes on. A few days ago, I think it was Saturday evening or Saturday night. I don't want, evening, night, whatever. I decided I had some stuff I needed to work on. So at the time, I said, okay, let me break my phone. I think I had to finalize and get stuff straight with some family business, and I had to edit a podcast and really like deep dive and lock into making sure that was completed properly. The editing got done. It was, such a needed thing. And when I looked at my phone, I was like, I'm about to try something. So as you remember at the beginning, I said 200 hours. I said, I'm going to try to see if I can keep my phone bricked for $200. Now, again, I've talked about the accessory, but I didn't really say, I said what it does, but I didn't say what it does. Many apps on our device we use frequently and often. There's so many resources and options that say, hey, delete this. You can have your screen time managed and say, after so many hours, I don't want you to allow me to access this application. And to some degree that works, but in reality it don't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because you need something that's going to make you more disciplined. And it's ironic, so as I'm telling this story, that a couple of days ago I had a charge for something that apparently I ordered, but I didn't order. But it came in the mail yesterday, and I was like, why am I getting this again? There was this app that I was looking to support that does the same thing as the brick accessory, but I didn't like it. And the reason why is because they want you to do a monthly subscription. If you do not need, if you if it's not necessary to have, there's no reason to have a subscription based service for something that does not need to be a subscription. Case in point, the app that I use, it's a one-time payment and it literally pays for itself if you're using it in its proper manner. Because what ends up happening is you find yourself having this off, having the apps off and putting more time into the things that you need to put time into, which obviously that's the whole goal. So fast forward, I got this accessory back in December, and I've done my fair share of lock sessions. I've done like 24 hours. I've done 48. I almost did 72. I think right now I could be wrong, but today was what's today? Tuesday. That is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So by this evening, like late evening, I will have reached 72 hours. And then some people would be like, well, 72 hours. I mean, what's the big deal? Not being on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok when I had it, because I didn't really use it much, Snapchat, um, different shopping apps, different food apps, different apps that were taking more time and adding more time. Not accessing them has been huge. And it's been helpful because it's made me be more intentional with using my phone. And to make it worse, when I was going in the office at first, what I used to do was I would take my phone, make sure I got all my stuff packed up, and I would take the brick accessory with me. And what would happen is, okay, I'd brick it for like a couple of hours, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to lunch, so I need to unbrick my phone. And I'm like, why do I need to unbrick my phone to watch TikTok during my lunch break? So right now, I know exactly where my accessory is, and it's in the perfect place of where it needs to be. But I haven't once been like, oh my God, I need it, I need to get to it like now. And also, since we're being transparent, the realistic reason why I'm doing this, and I didn't think about it until the timer started. I should have started a little later, but all things considered, if I finish this out, then it will put me at Monday morning, like early Monday morning. Now I'm probably gonna have it off by then, but this is probably, in my opinion, one of the worst times to be online because As I mentioned earlier, this election year. And you sometimes don't realize that something has to be done to change something until you see why you made a change to do something. And why I say that is because I looked at um, I looked at Twitter, which I'm still using Twitter because for writing purposes. So Twitter and Threads I still use. And I know a lot of people will be like, but they still have photos, they still have animations, still get videos. You still can get caught up in content in content consumption. And you're not wrong. And then this morning, I kind of almost got caught in it because an incident on CNN proved my point of why I need this break. And basically, what happened is there was an on air battle, beef, fight, whatever, between two analysts who were talking on behalf of Trump and Kamala. Mind you, we're in the final week of the election. Um, so this incident occurred on the simple fact that the guy basically was talking, and the other person responded by making a racist remark about having your pager. And in my brain, I'm like, if you were trying to make that as your point, that was not the best. Like, it just didn't need to be said, in my opinion. But his talk, not mine. Since I've watched it, and just in a few minutes of me watching it, it's one of my things now that I'm learning with multi-panel or multi-podcast uh, forms. And that is, if there are a lot of people talking, you don't just need a moderator, you need a good moderator. You need a moderator that can not necessarily say, all right, y'all shut up, but like, hey, like you have to be aware of how to be in control of the topic and the content. And sometimes, many times, that can be very challenging to do when you have people who, for lack of a better term, do things or say things like they're not being heard. And I'm not saying that that's the case with Homeboy, but I will say that's the case with some interactions that happen online. And I've or in shows, I've stated this numerous times. I've recorded my podcast. I've been recording it for over almost 8 years. And this year, I've probably been more intentional and more observant with how podcasts go or can go because people will swear up and down they got it or they know what they're talking about or what they're doing. But when you hit that record button, like I still remember a lot of times having guests on and their exact words before we even do the show, which I'm not against it because I get it, is my first time or is this gonna be live? Or I don't know what I'm gonna say. And I'm like, you've been knowing me for a long time. Just have an authentic conversation. Now, once the conversation goes left, I'm gonna either let you fly on your own, or I'm gonna try to reel you back in and help you out. Because sometimes people unknowingly need help with with the topic control, with the content control, the whole time. So I get those things. I don't really make a big scene about those. But the rest of it, fam. It's simple. It is really, and I swear people think I just be saying it just to say it, but it's so simple. All a podcast is a conversation with friends, and you happen to place a mic between them. The difference maker is in some conversations, there usually isn't a moderator. Everyone's kind of co-moderating where necessary. Whereas with a podcast, you have to have a moderator. And even with that CNN incident, there has to be a moderator. The moderator is sitting there, but she wasn't moderating. So it was almost like to update the story, they go to commercial break eventually and they come back. Homeboy got removed that made the comment, the racist comment. And she then has to go on to do PR, PR massacre. And I'm like, this is so insane. But that was close to 5 minutes of time consumed watching the video and then watching the apology and also watching people's comments. Like it gets very consume consumption based, for lack of a better term. But on a lighter note, and on an honest note, since doing this Saturday, my time was pretty low. I think my time was under 6 hours. Sunday, my time was under 3 hours. Yesterday, I believe my time was still under 3 hours. It might have been like a little over three. Today, it's gonna be the same because you can't miss what you never had or never was using. And I'll be the first to admit, man, like I really value this space that I'm in when it comes to the digital slash content consumption. I think the hardest part of it is some people defend their content consumption and it's so bad because it's like, well, I gotta be on there because I'm doing these different things and it's all online. And I'm like, so if there was no social media, how would you communicate with that person? They would have a website, you would search for them online like you normally would have done before these apps became a thing. Like making things convenient for people made things complicated for people. And why I say that or why I'm mentioning that is because what literally happened is folks decided, oh, well, I don't need to go on the website to do so and so. I can just download the app. You download the app, and then how people's phone like it's a technological blunder slash clusterfuck to be blunt. And this probably is one of the few times that I'm using profanity because I don't really try not to cuss if I don't have to, but no pun intended, shit happens. But um, the reality is, we as consumers and we as users of these devices don't understand. They want you to download more apps. There are hundreds of apps that people have installed that they never use. It's just there. Like I made this move, and I think recently I'm likely going to end up going back. I made the move to go to. I was using Todoist. Well, I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. I was using Things Three. I had Things Three on my phone, on my computer, on my laptop. I think I took it off my laptop, but I can get it. Getting it back shouldn't be that hard. Um, but I paid for this app. Love the app. App is powerful. After a while, I'm like, I don't really want to use it no more. I'm ready to go back to. Um, I'm gonna try something else. I tried Todoist. I did Todoist for almost, if not a month. And personally, I think Todoist is a very great app, but I don't need it. And. The truth is, I was looking at Todoist as an option only because it's web based. But now I'm realizing I don't need to throw a lot of time into a tab on my computer being open and dedicated just to this application. So now my avenue is I'm likely I since deleted Todoist. I deleted it a couple days ago. But when I come out of this social hibernation, I think we're gonna bring things three back because things three didn't do anything wrong. Things three did everything the way I needed it done. It was automated. It was simple. It was user friendly. It worked. They did recurring apps perfect. Um, there wasn't as much of a pressure behind completing things. Um, so I'm definitely considering going back for the better. Um, I've made a bold decision to start giving more TLC to Notion again. And anyone who knows me knows Notion Notion came in my life at like a perfect time. And what I mean and why I say that is because when I first heard about Notion, all I knew was they had a bunch of templates and you could use them to do stuff. But I didn't know how Notion worked or how powerful Notion was until I really dug into it and really connected with its capabilities. Like, it's probably the most, in my opinion, low to no code. It's actually no code involved. Um, data data management that I've seen. And I like it for a plethora of reasons, but the biggest and the most supporting factor is just the simple fact that you can literally find a template that does just about anything. Uh, and say I may do thing three, but I have a Notion template that, again, Notion is web based. And I think our company is being more lenient, like, thank goodness, to us using Notion. So I like Notion on the simple fact that I can put in different tasks. You can set up different things. So, like, hey, when I press this button, I want these checklists, this checklist to generate. And it then puts you in like as its title, it puts you in a flow state to know, okay, like in the morning with me, it's it's 21 and me. And 21 and me has a different meaning because in the morning, and I've probably shared this with people before, but I haven't really talked about it in depth. But the first 21 minutes of each morning, as I'm fully awake, are my time. That is my time to just sit, wake up, get started, get going the whole night. But it's also a dedication to my dad. And it's also my reminder, because I'm always telling people this, to slow down. And I'm gonna talk about this, and people hear it, they hear it. If they don't, they don't. But it's time now more than ever before to stop putting excuses in front of not making time for ourselves. Now, let me acknowledge what I'm saying, and I'm gonna let it be what it be. I get it. People have children. People have to be parents. Folks have to fill the role of making sure they're taking care of little humans, whether they're little or they're big, or being a mom in general. It can be quite a tall order. But the less you don't take care of yourself as a person, the more you're going to put yourself in such a vulnerable state to not feel like you're not getting anything done, but you've allowed it to be an option. And I'm not, again, if you are single mom, single dad, hey, I feel for you. I 100% know it's not, it ain't for the weak, but you're not weak. And doing a lot is great, but doing a lot can also be exhausting. And it's so hard watching people run themselves rampant based on what is the societal norm. It's not. So the 21 minutes is golden when you actually take that time to fulfill it. My friend X, he's been sharing this message, and I've been gravitating to it more and more, especially one by default, because even with me taking medication, I'm still on this train anyway. But um, it's been so key to just take care of the body and take care of the mind. I just think we gotta do what we can for ourselves while we have the ability to do so. And as I finish this walk, I want to circle it back to the main two things. 16 years. Not many people have completed everything in that amount of time. But to be able to keep and maintain a newsletter or maintain a blog for that long, that's an accomplishment in itself. I don't know why I stopped and I'm like still walking. Um, but 16 years with the newsletter has been amazing. It's been probably my writing haven without me realizing it's my writing haven. Like I had WordPress, I rocked with WordPress. They did WordPress.net or whatever. WordPress.net. I was doing that for like some admin work with designing websites. They decided to keep WordPress going, but now they're using Jetpack. Live on Jetpack. The rest is history. But I'm using all of them as reference because it's never too late to start. Keep in mind, I was give or take, if you're saying 16 years, I was about 26. Yeah, I was 26 when that started. And it doesn't start when I started writing, because I've been writing, as many people know, writing has been in my DNA for like a long time. So to that point, and to what everybody always hears me say, it's a reason that I have such a strong knack and a strong attachment to the writing element as a whole. But I want people to really think about what's what is it that's stopping you from writing? And I'm not sitting here saying like in the next 10 days, start a blog and start going crazy. But I'm standing on the layer of invest in, and I say this time and time again, invest in either if you already have a laptop, start writing. If you have a notebook and paper, start writing. If you have pen and paper, start writing. Start the writing now and continue to keep track of the thoughts that you're writing down and see where it takes you, because that's going to be your staple without you knowing that it's your staple. Also, before I go into the 200 part, I had a scale check, and the scale check hurt, but it didn't hurt. And it only hurt because my weight, my actual weight went up a little. But in other categories of things that I've been working on, the things that I've been taking care of, the weight is going where it needs to go. So it's a matter of now portions, distribution, mindset, focus. Like yesterday, I left from the gym. Normally, it's a place near me. I go there, get something to eat, would have got like a drink and all that other stuff. I said, nope, I'm gonna come home. I had a banana. I had uh some like little snacks like chips. Not even chips, they were like the the peanut butter crackers where it's like peanut butter in the middle, crackers on the end, and like a V8 juice. Uh, And I was fine. Granola bars, like I've gotten very minimal in what I've consumed. Like even like when I get coffee, like we were talking about this the other day. One of the guys, he's like, man, I drink like this big container of coffee. And one of my coworkers, she drinks like a large container of coffee. And I'm like, I ain't, hey, do you, whatever it takes, I ain't tripping. But I've personally found that I do better with like a small cup. Like I will get literally, like I think yesterday I had an 8 ounce cup and I was fine. And this morning it's funny, like when I get up and go do these walks, it gives me like a second burst of energy. So I'm loving where this has gone to. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about the next levels. But yeah, 16 years, man, writing, I don't deny or take the writing for granted. And 200 hours, man, 200 hours of not being in those social spaces. It's gonna be a journey, but I'm definitely loving this journey and I'm definitely appreciating this journey for what it's worth. And the reason I'm saying that, or the reason I'm talking about it in that tone or in that with that magnitude is because truth is, I really did not think I didn't think that media was gonna I knew media was gonna be chaotic, but I didn't know media was gonna be this chaotic this year. And here, this is what I mean by this. There are people who are posting things and you're not even friends with them, but you see their content. And I'm like, this algorithm thing is insane because you do not really get like if you think about it, and this is just just generic rule of thumb, but it's also how it works in a sense. If you create an account and you don't follow anybody, technically you're not supposed to see anything. Technically. But everything gets catered around what you do. So like if you go on Facebook, if I this is a perfect example because I don't regret ordering this because I was thinking about ordering it a while back, but now I'm glad, better as the age old saying goes, better late than never. But there's an accessory by Charge, which I don't need it, and I know I don't need it because I have like 3,000 power banks. But this one had a clock, and it has a different look, and it's a different style. But nothing, nothing that Brian doesn't, nothing new that I don't do as far as throwing an excuse. But let me say, let me address the story. So Charge makes different accessories for power banks, uh, MagSafe chargers, like the whole nine. Cables. They're kind of like I think Charge is another version of Chubby Cable. If you haven't heard of Chubby Cable, look them up. They have good quality products as well. I think I got a few products from them. I don't even know if I may still have them. I don't remember, but um, Charge had this power bank that kept popping up on my page. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. I ordered it. It's going through shipping now because it had to go through customs, and it's here in the States. Just a matter of it matter of UPS getting it and fulfilling the order. So why I'm talking about that is because it's an advertisement. Like the craziest thing now. And this is a better example. I ordered my brick accessory back in December. I have an affiliate link with them, and I've had it for a while. Like some people have used it. If you want to get one, Brian Brick, get 10% off. By all means, any little bit can help because that could also factor in if you're having to pay shipping. Just an idea. But I've ordered one and I've had it for a while. I don't need a second one because the one I have does the job just fine. I had a very minor yet intense scare where I was like, I can't find it. Where is it? Where did it go? What did I like? The most challenging things in my life to lose are my brick when my phone is actually bricked and my Apple Pencil. I thought I lost my Apple Pencil before I went to New Orleans. And when I got back, I looked in like a random little area and like moved some stuff and it was like right there. And I was like, this is so crazy. But even with the brick, same thing. Like if you brick your phone and the stuff you need to get to, it can get a little treacherous and get a little rough. But um Brick was pushing their products and they like I will get notificate like I'm already following them anyway, because like I said, I was able to talk to them to get the affiliate link. However, I will see like when I was looking at Instagram at one time, their bubble will come up before anybody else's. And then to make matters worse, when I would do any like if I look through stories, I done already seen the brick accessory and they're still trying to like push it like, hey, we think this will be a good resource or a good tool to have. And I'm like, I don't need one. I already have it. And to add insult to injury, Facebook, same exact thing. Twitter hasn't. I noticed Twitter is very like Twitter has become very ad specific, and I don't know how I feel about that. But that's another conversation for another day. I think that's why I'm still kind of rocking with Twitter a little bit because even with the regulated ads, I just the only thing that I don't like is they are pushing the agenda, if you will. And this is not any conspiracy theorists. This is not any like wokeism, anything. It's just general observation of the internet because everything that you're intended to see, you're gonna see it. And companies know what they're doing. They've been doing this for years. They've just done it in different ways. And I'm gonna share this and I'm gonna let y'all roll. Decades ago, it was radio. Radio was the way to get information to people. If the radio said something was on sale, buy it now before it's too late. People went to buy it. Radios radios are still a thing because we still have like local radio stations, but now it's a more loop based business, if you will. And I also don't think they localize the push enough to listen to radio because sometimes listening to radio isn't the worst thing in the world. So you had radio, then there was TV, and you kind of can put one in front of the other, TV and or music, because both were doing the ad pushing to some degree. Um, the ads would be baked in between TV shows. Obviously, the most notable one is the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, people are spending. I wouldn't be surprised if soon they're going to hit billions with spending for getting ad space or getting ads on TV. And companies don't care. They're like, okay, we got it. We'll spend it. Whatever. It's no big deal. Music, between music videos, between songs, certain messages, certain things talked about, you just got to be able to pay attention to it or it's got to gravitate to you the whole nine. Then the internet came out. The internet was the advertisement who, because pop-ups, yes, they were annoying as all outdoors, but the pop-ups were a way to get business across to people. And then they changed it up again by when you go to different websites.
they would bake advertisements into the middle of the websites. Totally get it. The one I used to always tell people as an example was if you go to, let's say I went to Office Depot, I looked at something, but I didn't buy it. But then I go to CNN. As soon as I go to CNN, you're going to see whatever it is you were looking at on Office Depot. Like, hey, did you still want to buy this product? The reason one, it's actually dual base two, is email and applications. Amazon knows you better than you know you. They're going to recommend books and they're going to recommend products frequently and often. That's why a lot of people emphasize subscriptions or unsubscribing from different emails or not making those emails be part of what's called a priority. Like most people, if you're using Gmail, my personal recommendation, use priority inbox. Um, Fingers crossed. I'm waiting to see when it happens, but I'm excited to see what Notion Mail has in store. I hope in the next few days that someone who has the beta version of Notion Mail gives like an insight of what Notion Mail looks like, how it works, or possible when it will be available to the end users for testing. But we get advertisements via mail, via email. We get them. Some we get through snail mail to some extent, but majority of it's going to be email and application. Like you open an app, the app is going to bake different things in for you to watch. And they know how we are as people because they know we want to get whatever information we need online and we're on our phones daily. Like we check email daily. That's why when you like my company and a lot of companies will do this when you get emails, if they're not work related, they automatically go to promotions or they go to junk. And at first I was like, why am I getting so many going here? And then I was like, oh shoot, I gave these daggone people my email address. So now I need to, which speaking of, I need to do that today. There's a couple of them that I have that I'm like, I need to unsubscribe from, but that's another topic for another day. Yeah, if y'all heard that pop in the recording, you the real MVP. But no, for real, man, like really take care of yourselves and be patient with yourself and be patient with the process. And no pun intended, you'll get further far. But that is all the time I have. I will let you all go. And until next time, y'all stay safe and have a good one. Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack, but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share at the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.